Well, hello, everybody. Welcome back to Cocktails and Rocktails with me, your most notorious groupie, Al Sprouse, author of We've Got Tonight, The Life and Times of Notoria, and these other little guys right here, where you can get those down in that description. Go down and fiddle about, because you know how much I love it. And just to let you guys know, we are doing a noir episode today. Been kind of a crazy week. Throughout my back, it's been pretty painful, so trying to do normal things is not exactly the easiest thing to do right now. So thank you for sticking with me. Thank you for hanging out, you guys. You know, I'm always so thankful for everything you guys bring to the channel, for all the watching, everything. Just even if you're silent, hanging out in the nosebleeds, you guys fucking rock. So thank you so much for everything. And today's episode, we are going to talk about a few different things because I have a lot of questions. What's the craziest things? You know, what kind of things did you used to do to get to the rock stars besides go to the hotel bar? Because obviously that is the most obvious thing to do, is go to the hotel bar, find the hotel with the tour buses. But so we're going to talk kind of about a mishmash of different little tricks. Not just how to get them, but how to kind of keep them interested, kind of keep them wondering, kind of keep them on their toes, because the rock stars, somebody's got to keep them there. But okay, and today we're just going to have a little Bailey's because it just sounds good for me right now. Love one of those, kind of that middle of the weather spring. What the fuck is in my Bailey's? I don't know what the hell that is. It's gone now, so... Oh. Alright, everybody grab your Baileys. Kick up your feet and let's have a little cocktails and rocktails. Cheers, big ears. Yeah, I'll still drink it. Got no shame sometimes when it comes to Baileys. But anyway, okay. So we're going to talk about a few of the things that we used to do. And some of these you can't really do like anymore. I mean, you can. Some things are easier to do. Some things you just really can't, kind of privacy. So besides going to the hotel bar, one of the things we would do to help find them and find the schedule, because we didn't have the internet back then. We just had our own instincts. We just had to figure out things for ourselves. So one of the things that Danny and I would do a lot of the times, like I said, you can't do anymore, was we would call the record company. Because we always knew, you know, what name they stayed under and stuff, and we'll talk about names in a second. We would know kind of what pseudonym they would stay under. Sorry, I've got sticky on my fingers. So let's make them stickier. Anyway. Yeah, here I am, you guys, just raw out there. But dressed. Anyway. So we would call the record company. We'd be like, oh, you know, we're looking for so-and-so. Let's say Richie Barron. He's no longer with us on this earth. He was a roadie that Kristen and I knew very well. Oh, yeah, I'm looking for my boyfriend, whatever, Richie Barron. I was trying to send him something, you know, a little care package on the road. And they would give us their itinerary, their information, what hotels they were staying at. You know, if we knew the name that they were staying under. When it came to the rock stars and stuff, it's another good reason to know the road crew, because you guys, you want to find out what hotel they're staying at, there you go. Hey, has so-and-so checked in yet? So we would, you know, call the record company, and some secretary, you know, would give us the information that we needed. So can't do that anymore, but it is, you know, something that we did because, like I said, we knew who Metallica's record company, we knew who Motley Crue's, we knew whoever, Def Leppard's, whoever we were looking for, we knew who their record company was. And like I said, you just call up and just be like, hey, how you doing? You know, like I said, you can't do that anymore. Too much privacy, too easy to call out a scammer back then. And we weren't scammers. We just wanted to know where the fuck our boys were and when they were getting to town, because we wanted to be the first ones to them. Because that's part of the band gang, getting there first. Because if you don't get there first, sometimes, ladies, the opportunity is gone. So, okay. So that was one thing we would do to kind of help find the bands. Now, what I was talking about, like about the pseudonyms, we all know that rock stars will stay under pseudonyms. So if you know the pseudonym, you can call the hotel. Vinnie Paul, because he's passed away now, used to stay under Troy Aikman for years. never failed. Big Dallas Cowboys, Dallas Stars, if it was a Dallas team, Vinny loved him. So Troy Aikman was what he used to stay in. So if he didn't get a hold of me or he didn't know I was in town or in a different town or whatever, because this also comes into play, talking about being out of town or being in a different town, whatever. So anyway, so if he was not able to get a hold of me, then I would just call the hotels and be like, yeah, is Troy Aikman checked in? No, he's not due to check in for another couple hours. Okay, thank you so much. I'll try again later. Or I would just leave a message so when he checked into his room, blink, 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 blink. Because, there weren't always cell phones, which you can use now, but still, and one way to find out the different names of what they stay under back in the day, and this actually helped when John passed away. Rooming lists actually are given to every member of the crew, all the band members and stuff. So you can call each other's rooms, or you need to find somebody, you're meeting up for dinner, whatever. You need to have a talk with the tour manager, your production manager, your stage manager, whatever. So everybody has rooming lists. And back in the day, there were just sheets of paper, one or two papers, and it would say, Vinnie Paul under Troy Aikman. Gene Simmons used to stay under Dr. Demento, who was kind of a radio show with quirky songs played like, what's his name? Just eat it, eat it, eat it. Al, what's his name? Yankovic, something like that. Anyway, so the rooming lists were easy, and that's how we would find out what would people, besides being with them, we would find out who was under what name and stuff like that. So if we were in another city, we could just call up the hotels one by one close to the gig, or ones we knew that they stayed at because we might have been in town with them before. So we could just call them up, and Dr. Memento there. Let's see, what are the other names? Troy Aikman. And there's usually, I don't know if they do this anymore, there's usually an extra room on every tour, just in case. Under that name exactly, just in case. So a lot of tours have those extra rooms because sometimes you forget we need to bring someone else onto the tour, or, the band may have family coming into town and they want to keep their parents in a separate room. People may show up, groupies are too drunk to drive home and they're not sleeping with anybody. So, those are different ways we would find out, oh, do you have just in case's room? Or sometimes you just ask the front desk guys. You just go into the hotel, where the bands are staying, and you just ask those front desk guys, what time is the band getting in? If they recognize your faces and they know you and you look familiar and they've seen you with that band before, nine times out of 10, they would always tell us. So you can have, there's different methods that we used to use to get to the band that wasn't necessarily the hotel bar, or that, if they didn't have our phone number, we hadn't known them yet. Because after a while, of course, they all had our phone numbers. They would call when they would come in town. Can't wait to see you girls. My mom would bitch them out if they called after 10 p.m. She bitched out James Hetfield, Mike Clark of suicidal tendencies. Probably a few others that I don't know about. Probably lost a couple of them because of my mom. But that's okay. I lost them because of my mom. They weren't worth it. So those are ways that we actually used to find out where the band was, find out their itineraries, find out their hotels. It's like we had it down to a science. Really, seriously, we had it down to how far they were traveling, what time that they were going to get in, because we knew what time that they got in from Denver, they got in from Seattle, they got in from Arizona, they got in from Vegas, they got in from LA, wherever they were coming from. We knew the kind of estimated time that they would be getting into Salt Lake City or Seattle or Las Vegas, wherever we happened to be. And we were like really CSI about it. We just gathered the clues by calling the record company, by knowing the names they stayed under, by seeing where the tour buses were, so to get to the band, these are some of the things we used outside of just looking for tour buses and doing the rounds. Because the rounds are going downtown to the hotels in Salt Lake City and just driving by all the hotels that are down there by the arena and finding where the tour buses were. So these are little sneaky ways that we used to, and yes, they probably were sneaky and we probably stalked. So anybody freaking out that we were too young and those rock stars were taking advantage of you, sweetie, we were going in full mode. We were going in full detective mode. We would know, so yeah, we would go, and I wouldn't call it necessarily stalker mode, but you might today. Yeah, you might today. But it wasn't like it wasn't wanted. Today, things are a little more guarded. But back then, oh, they wanted us to find them. They wanted it to be easy. Those boys were expecting to walk into the hotel bars. I mean, good Lord, Eric Carr met his girlfriend, Carrie, or whatever, Cassie. That hoo-ha's name. Anyway, so yeah, we would go into full detective mode. Like I said, we knew their names. We knew what time they would probably get there. We even knew, if they were flying in, that a lot of times, especially with Metallica and stuff, they would get in, like, they would leave Denver right after the gig, around midnight. Get into Salt Lake City around 2 a.m. because, it's not a long flight. Then they would go check in. They'd be at the hotel by 2:30. Their stuff would come later. So we knew this. So that was one way. And some people asked, how did you get onto the guest list before you knew people? We had our ways there too. And I have little things. So before we knew people, back then it was just kind of a given thing. If you're hanging out at the hotel bar, you're meeting the band, you're hanging out with the guys, whether you're sleeping with them or not, it was just kind of a given that you would go onto the guest list, me plus one, me plus three, me plus four, whatever. We could actually do carte blanche. Today it's a little harder just because some tours, the roadies, stuff like that, they have to pay for their tickets and passes that they give to will call. So it's a little harder to kind of do that these days. But back then it was just kind of a given. But before we knew that, we used to go to the hotel bar. We'd be talking to the guys and be like, oh, are you coming? Once, things were established. Obviously, they're in Def Leppard or Tesla or, Motley or AC/DC, whatever. And, oh, you coming to the show tomorrow, ladies? No, we just got back and, we'd be like, oh, we just got back into town. We were, we didn't even realize the show was today because back then, pre-internet and stuff, we had Rolling Stone, we had Metal Edge, we had Circus, we had Rip magazine, and they would have itineraries, but the itineraries weren't necessarily full itineraries. So we would just kind of be like, oh yeah, we just got back into town. We didn't know you guys were playing. Oh, sweetie darlings, let me put you on the guest list. Oh, okay. You could still use that one, ladies. That kind of, and it kind of adds an air of mystery and intrigue. Where were you? Who were you with out of town? But it also can backfire on you. Because it did Danny and I. It totally backfired on us with Metallica because I believe it was during the Black Tour. They had come in from Denver. And this is why I say Denver. They had come in from Denver about 2 o'clock in the morning. They were checking in between 2 a.m. and 3 a.m. Because ladies, they will sneak in the middle of the night as some of the bigger bands. Because you can specialize your checkout when you're that big of a tour. When you're booking that many rooms and you're doing their booking agents. Because we would also call the booking agents. Because the managers have booking agents that can book the hotels. Then they have the people that book the tours. So there's different offices to call. But anyway, so a lot of them sneak in around 2 a.m. So one time, and I've talked about this before, Danny and I were going, God, I gotta make sure my volume's up because Lord knows I've done that before. 3 episodes of silence. Just me yapping like a silent movie. Anyway, so we went out to, we had Danny and I believe Cammie was with us. So Danny and Cammie and I had gone out to, it was a couple nights before we put the bow in James's hair and made him dance around like the Cowardly Lion. So you new Metallica fans that are joining us, welcome, first of all. But when you see the tour manager video of James acting like the Cowardly Lion, that was done the morning after I put the bow in his hair. When they came out with the Metallica alphabet books, it was a few years after my book came out with the real Metallica alphabets. But anyway, so they were like, oh, the band's they're supposed to check in. We went straight to the Marriott downtown. We were like, okay, what time are they checking in? Because we knew they wouldn't call us till they got right into town. They had called us from Denver, and they're like, okay, we're doing the show. We'll call you when we get in. Cool beans, right? So we go to the Marriott. It's about midnight or so because we knew they might come in at a later date or later hour. Guys behind the front desk are like, yeah, they're coming in and they're going to check in between 2 and 3 a.m. Oh, cool. So we just went someplace, to someone's house, sat there for a while, smoked, went out to the general aviation, because another thing, they're not going to be, if they have a plane, find out where the general aviation is for your city, your airport. So, ooh, flash of old lady. But so for your city and your airport, find out where that is. Because this is where the bigger tours, Metallica, Def Leppard, Iron Maiden, all the bands that have a plane, you know, Snoop Dogg, rappers, whoever. Every band that has a plane will land at your general aviation. So anyway, we go to the general aviation. Sure enough, there's Metallica's plane just taxiing down to the, you know, had just landed, was taxiing over to the hangar thing. And here's Danny and I standing on the runway. Hey, guys, what you doing? Because we had used that excuse so many times that, oh, we just got back into town. And if they asked, we would say, oh, with family, whatever, you know, we just went on a little thing with, you know, Danny and I would say, went with friends here, whatever. But then we just kind of quit. They quit asking because they just assumed, because we knew other bands and they knew we knew other bands, it was probably we were out on tour with somebody, which 50% of the time it was, 50% of the time it was not. So they get off the plane. The guys see us, James and Lars. They're like, ladies. Ian Jeffrey sees us. Hey, girls. Hi, girls. It's so nice to see you again, lovelies. And Ian worked with other tours like Rap, Def Leppard. So I know him from other tours besides Metallica. And so if you watch the Def Leppard video I posted as a short that he did, where I talk about Salt Lake City and they're spanning it, that was Ian Jeffries as well. And he also does the Def Leppard videos. But anyway, so they get off the plane. They're like, hey, girls, hey, ladies. And we're giving hugs. We're saying hello. So nice to see you. Been a couple months, yada, yada, yada. So glad you're here, blah, blah, blah. Right? Oh. So one of the first things Lars comes up and asks, Lars, that's what he used to do when he was doing coke. So when you see him back in the Injustice days when he's doing, you know, this, because he's doing he's doing booger sugars. But anyway, so the band gets off the plane and they're like, oh, so what band were you ladies coming with? You're here at the airport. We're like, what do you mean? We're like, no, we just came out here to meet you. Oh, well, we just figured because you're always getting back in town from somewhere. We're like, no. We're not getting back in town. We knew you guys were going to be here at this time. So we came out to meet you. Look around. Do you see luggage? Do you see a plane? No, it's just you guys and your luggage. No groupie luggage. No plane taken off after you landed. Check the logs. We just came out here. So that kind of backfired, you know, we just got into town. Kind of backfired in our face eventually because they just assumed, the rockers just assumed that we were out on tour with somebody else. So, okay, and another thing we used to do, these guys are going to find out. And it's funny because, you know, so when you go to stay at the Doubletree, they have these really good cookies. They come in like 10, they used to come in 10 of 6. Now they may come in 10s of 4. But they have some really good, like those thick, just delicious chocolate chip cookies, just moist and meaty and just so good. So we would go around and steal all the chocolate chip cookies from whatever room we were in. Whatever chocolate, we were taking them. We took the tins. We took everything. But we got rid of those tins because we used to do care packages. And we would just, you know, put a little like booze or something in there. We'd put some panties in there, you know, whatever, pictures, greeting, you know, holiday cards. And we did this with like Steve Wariner and Toby Keith. We did this, we mailed it with Steve Wariner and Toby Keith, but with like Metallica or, you know, Def Leppard and stuff like that. We just brought it with us. So we brought these baskets, really the most amazing chocolate chip cookies they ever had. And they praised us so much because we wanted to show them our nurturing, kind, female, womanly side, right? And they just praised those chocolate chip cookies. And the whole time they had no clue we didn't make them. They were from the Doubletree. And that was if we were bringing them with us or sending the care package. Now, a couple times the rockers came over to, my apartment, my house, some of the smaller bands or whatever, bigger bands, they'd come over to my house. So what I would do, because like I said, you want them to kind of get to know you in a way you want them to see you, just like we all do when we're dating or whatever. So they would come over to my house, so I would throw, and I got this from my friend Charlie Ann, because she used to do this. So I would throw, like, mixing bowl and stuff, put some flour, maybe smear a little butter in the bowl, like I'd mixed a few things, kind of scraped, and throw that, and I would go buy Mrs. Fields cookies from the mall, because at the time, Mrs. Fields was, like, some of the best chocolate chip cookies, just like these rich, delicious, milk chocolatey, and I would go buy, like, 2 dozen of them, and I would put them in the oven on warm. Yeah. And they would walk into the apartment, they'd be like, oh, it smells like chocolate chip cookies. So it would instantly, get a sense of them being at home and kind of a nurturing, a safe space. It would instantly trigger. That's why real estate agents use chocolate chip cookies when you're looking at a house. And they put them in the oven, whether they made them or not, because they stole that from us, groupies, I'm telling you. But yeah, so you put them in the oven, you've got your stuff in the sink, and you pretend like, oh, come in, I was just finishing up, cleaning up. They're like, what are you doing? Did you make me cookies? Yeah, I sure did. Here's the best chocolate chip cookies ever. Let me tell you, chocolate chip cookies are the best way to get your cookies in the best way. I'm telling you. They will eat the cookies you made, and they will eat the cookies your mama and daddy made on you. But anyway... So those are some of the things we used to do to kind of get to the band, to kind of meet the band. Sorry, I've got a little list of everything we used to do. Sometimes I write it down, but so yeah, that was kind of one of the things Danny and I used to do. Like, and Steve Warner and Toby Keith, they did get those care packages because, again, we called the record company and got their hotel in a certain town. So we mailed it there, and it was waiting for them when they checked in, and they were like, these are the best cookies. And, they stay in a lot of DoubleTrees with the cookies that are still made today, and you guys never put 2 and 2 together. And they always just thought, like the groupies just magically appeared back then. And it's like, no, honey, this was all calculated. We called your record company. We called the booking agents. We called the hotel, got the time you were checking in. That's why we met you at the General Aviation and brought our cookies that we made with us. So, yeah, that's how we used to kind of get the bands. And keep them intrigued. It's not always about sex, drugs, and rock and roll. I talk about, having a friendship, having, connecting with someone, bonding with them. And a lot of times that's a great way to bond. It's like I said, it's not just about the sex, drugs, and rock and roll. We go out to dinners, we fly around, we go shopping, we do, we just sit at home. Like Henrik and I would just hide in my apartment, in my bedroom, and just sit there and listen to music and talk and, just about all kinds of stuff. So it's not always about the sex, drugs, and rock and rolls, and cookies aren't always what you're spreading your legs to give them. The cookies will come in a care package too, and from the mall. They do. So ladies, I would do the cookie thing still. This may be a dead giveaway, so steer away from this channel, from this episode at least. And like I said, you cannot call the record companies anymore. The tour itineraries and the room lists are now on their cell phones, in spreadsheet, downloads and attachments and stuff. So those aren't available readily anymore. So you can see all the names that people stay under. And some people still, I know that Gene Simmons does not stay under Dr. Demento anymore. Well, they're not touring anymore anyway, just their AI versions, which... what the fuck? We're going to talk about that in a whole... Are you guys going to pay? Go down in the comments. Tell me if you would pay to see any band in AI formation. That's not why we go to see bands. It's about the energy. It's about everything. It's about not just connecting with the people in the audience, but with the people on stage with one look or stuff like that. So, but that's beyond the subject we're talking about now. So ladies, once you get to know the guys, bring them little care packages. Be there waiting with the bells on their toes. I mean, these days, like I said, it's a lot easier. to get to them because not a lot easier. But we have different ways of getting to them. But back then, yeah, you could call the record company, you could call the booking agents, you could call the hotel, you could show up at General Aviations. But if you have Polestar, just go to Polestar. I still use this. So, but Polestar can tell you the itinerary. So you want to know if the band's going to be in town the night before. I mean, I'm sure all websites for whatever band you're looking for do have their tour schedules now. But Polestar, if you want to look at multiple different bands at a time, you know, you can see where they're playing the last date. Like I said, New Kids on the Block is coming in June. They have a show the night before Salt Lake City. They're playing Salt Lake City on I believe the 25th. They don't have a show for a couple days, so they will stay the night after the show. So I know I can, you know, if I want to go say hi to the New Kids on the Block, I can find their hotel. I know all those. And then once you get to know your scene in your city, you'll kind of guess what hotels they're going to stay at. Because they tend to stay at the same ones over and over. The main one they stay here is the Monaco. There's a couple other ones, the Hyatt and the Hilton they stay at now that's closer to the venue. A lot of the venues downtown. So, yeah, use your instincts. I mean, just let the mothership kind of pull you in and don't seem so obvious, because that's kind of, we felt like we were so obvious if we were just going there to the hotel bar. I mean, we all knew what we were doing at that fucking hotel bar, looking for the band. But we kind of wanted to be coy and, oh yeah, we just weren't in town, sorry. So, you know, it worked. But whatever works for you, figure that out and run with it. Oh, sorry. Raphael thanks me for my Instacart extra tip. Tip your Instacart drivers. They'll get you better produce. So, okay, but yeah, there you guys go. There's a few of the silly little things that we used to do to get band members. Sometimes all you have to do is get out of the car at a smaller venue and they'll see you on the bus and that bus door will fly open. Hello, ladies. Ladies, go out there. Use your instincts. Use your wiles. Live your life. Know what it is to take on a lover and to be a master seducer. Because that's what we were really doing. We were being the master seducers. The seductresses. Wasn't vice versa. Like I said at the beginning, people seem to think that these guys were, you know, coming to the playgrounds being all R. Kelly on our asses, when in reality, look, it was us. We were full on CSI detective stalker mode. They just never knew it, because that's not how we presented ourselves in their face. So, want to keep them? Use your cookies. By cookies, I mean these. But all right, so hope you guys had a good laugh with today's episode. Hope you ladies learned a couple things, you know, even if you're not the best cook. But these days, speaking of Instacart or DoorDash and stuff, you can send them some nice cookies, you know, from Crumble or Goodly or wherever you are, whatever they have. You can send them little things, little care. You can, you know, it's easier to do that if you know where they are. You know, we had to go steal all the cookies, go buy the cookies, get them packaged, take them to the mail, to the post office, send them out, make sure, put our phone number in there, you know. Yeah. Put our phone numbers. Hell, honey, we've even put phone numbers on the front of tour buses. And it worked a few times, quite a few times. Hey, rock stars, hey, rockers, want to have a good time? Give us a call. The 80s ladies. And we'd put our names on there, Allison and Danny. And they would call. So there's another way you can get to your rockers. Put a number on the dashboard. Or better yet, put it on the bus door so when they walk in to the bus, they're going to see it. They're going to, oh, there it is right there. Because a lot of times they're not looking at the windshield wipers, you know. So there's other little ways that we kind of seduced the bands without their knowledge. So, all right. And thank you, everybody, again. Hope you really did enjoy this episode. Hope you got a good laugh at it. And thank you for everybody who made it to the end of the episode. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned a few things. Share with you guys, ladies of the 80s, 70s, 60s, 90s, today. Put down there your little tips and tricks to get to the band or to keep the rock stars, or to intrigue them to another side of you. Tell me what you do, my seductress ladies. All right, and thanks again, everybody. And for those of you just kind of lurking about, not sure if you want to come backstage or not, hit that subscribe, hit that like, hit my bells, because there's a lot of cool stuff that's going to be happening on Cocktails and Rocktails. So, all right, you guys. See you next time. Cheers, figures.